Call the meeting to order and I'd like to welcome everyone here tonight. Just for your information, the council meets the third Tuesday every month at 6 o'clock. We also work from a prepared agenda. If anybody wants one, to have those over here, there on the wall. I'd like to recognize the media. Justin Melrose, I don't think I've met you, Justin. Good to have you here. Rockingham now, right? Roy Sawyer's here. Oh, there's Roy. How are you, Roy? Sam Page. I think I saw you walk through the door. How you doing, Sam? Sam's Rockingham County Sheriff. Good to see you, Sam. Item 2, invocation. Wayne Parley, a pastor of Meadowview United Methodist Church, and that'll be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Tommy Underwood, Fire Chief. Please stand.
Let us pray. Dear Father, we ask for your blessings on us as we gather here this evening. You are an awesome God who showers us with love and mercy and forgiveness. Be with our leaders of the city of Eden, as well as those of our counties, our states, and our nation. May decisions be made at all levels according to your will. Remove fear, worry, and anxiety that people might feel. Provide courage, vision, willingness, and energy as we work together to reach our goals. Help each of us to make Eden a city of hope and pride. Be with all in need, especially those dealing with hurricanes, floods, fires, earthquakes, and human violence. Provide us with strength, comfort, and guidance. I pray in the name and the power of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 4, proclamation recognition. A, imagine a day without water. Melinda Ward, are you here? Come on up, Melinda. Sometimes don't give enough credit to these people that are there making sure that we have good drinking water and good wastewater system. And Melinda, thank you for everything you do. You and the whole crew, everybody. Whereas the infrastructure that brings water to and from homes and businesses is essential to the quality of life and economic vitality of the city of Eden. And whereas 15,227 residents on average utilize 50 gallons of water per person per day. And whereas the city of Eden has about 5,900 residential customers, 169 miles of water distribution lines, the water system is 95 years old. And whereas the crisis in Flint, Michigan, and recent hurricanes in Texas and Florida show the severe impacts of what can happen to the health and well-being of a community without access to clean drinking water. And whereas utilities nationwide are grappling with aging infrastructure and lack reliable revenue and funding to maintain systems, let alone upgrade their systems, and whereas 1/5 of the U.S. economy would grind to a halt without a reliable and clean source of water. And whereas managing water responsibility is critical to our nation's environmental health and to a high quality of life through economic commerce, power generation, and recreation, and whereas investing in our drinking water and wastewater systems will secure a bright and prosperous future for generations to come. And whereas innovation in water conservation and water reuse will drive job growth, economic development, and establish a 21st century paradigm of water management in the United States. And whereas for every one job created in the water sector, another 3.68 jobs are added to the national economy. And for every $1 spent on infrastructure improvements, the U.S. generates $6 in return. And whereas different regions face different water challenges, so the solutions to strengthen our drinking water and wastewater systems must be logically driven, but reinvestment in our water must be a national priority. Now therefore be it resolved by Wayne Tuggle Sr., Mayor, that the City of Eden recognizes that water is essential to the quality of life and economic competitiveness, and acknowledges the importance of educating the public about the value of water through the Imagine a Day Without Water campaign. Further resolved that the City of Eden is dedicated to investing in water and wastewater infrastructure and calls on our federal partners to bring much-needed funding and innovation to protect and restore our critical water infrastructure. Again, thank you for everything you guys do. Item 5, roll call. Let the record show that all members of council, the city manager, and city attorney are present. Set the meeting agenda. Need to pull 7D. Yes, sir.
Only part of it.
Only part of it.
Yes, sir. We need to pull the part about the manufactured home overlay, because that's mislabeled. The first part is ready to go.
Okay, so we'll just do the first part of that then?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Oh, you guys get that? Just pull the second part of it. We'll still have item D. I'm sorry. I misunderstood when we talked before.
So we'll have item D1, part of it, and then item D2. Is that correct? Just so we're clear.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to set, anybody want to make any additions or deletions from the agenda? If not, then I need a motion.
I make a motion, we set the agenda as amended.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Meeting agenda is set. Item 7, public hearing. I'd like to declare this public hearing open. Item A, consideration of public hearing to approve and adopt a resolution as well as approval of $14,200 as part of the 10% matching requirement for a North Carolina Department of Transportation grant in the amount of $142,000. This grant is from the U.S. Department of Transportation Federal Transit Administration and receives funds from the North Carolina General Assembly to provide assistance for public transportation projects. The North Carolina Department of Transportation has been designated as a state agency with principal authority and responsibility for administering capital projects for small, urbanized, and rural areas. All municipalities in which the SCAT bus is located are asked to provide matching funds for the services rendered in those communities. Megan O'Dell, Senior Director of Transit. Ms. O'Dell, appreciate you coming.
Hi, thank you for having me. The sole purpose of this public hearing is to discuss the consolidated grant application for the SCAT bus service for fiscal year 2019, which begins July 1st, 2018 and ends June 30th, 2019. So we're in fast forward. The SCAT bus has been very successful in Eden since its launch in January 2013, and the service has helped numerous citizens of the city by providing reliable transportation for employment, school, socialization, etc. The entire SCAT system countywide has provided 101,000 trips. The Eden bus alone has seen 47,215 of those trips since it launched, and 11,726 of those were just last fiscal year. Already for the first quarter of fiscal year 2018, so July through September, Eden has had 3,743 trips, proving that the system is still growing and right on track for an increase in ridership over last year. The highest volume stops in the Eden area are the Dollar Generals in both Spray and Draper, and then of course the Walmart. And then just some other kind of things to highlight. We sold 26 semester passes to RCC students for the fall semester of 2017. 6 of those went to Eden residents, so there are 6 people that ride the bus every day to school to RCC. And then there are at least 7 people in Eden who use the bus daily for employment, so that's huge. kind of have those numbers. We've been able to maintain the cost efficiently, so the amount requested in this grant application is the same as the previous years, $142,000, and the match to the grant, which is the city's portion, is 10% of that, $14,200. And as always, this amount is offset by any advertising revenue or fares that we collect. So it's $1 to ride, any bus passes that we sell, and then any advertising that we do on the outside or interior of the buses. We continue to assess the existing routes and encourage improvements. We've built partnerships with other health and human service organizations, governmental entities, and nonprofits such as Project Reentry, Goodwill, Cardinal Innovations, Daymark, and DSS, who have all found that the SCAT bus is the answer to getting their participants where they need to go. And we certainly appreciate the city's continued support, the bus shelters that you guys approved and did, and advocacy. I know a lot of you have got on the bus and ridden, and so we definitely appreciate all of that. I am available to answer any questions, and also want to point out that there are some voluntary surveys out on the table when you come in, if anybody wants to fill one out relating to this project, NCDOT or Title VI.
Megan, over the years, I've been to the bus stops and talked to a lot of people around, and there's a lot of people would not have any opportunity to go get medical help, go to the grocery store, go to the Goodwill Center down here, and it's been a wonderful thing. You guys really have done a good job with it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
It's really helped a lot of people.
Thank you.
Any other comments from anyone? Thank you, Megan.
Thank you.
Anyone want to speak in favor? Does anyone want to speak in opposition? If not, then I declare the public hearing closed and call for a motion.
I'll make a motion on the consideration of the $14,200 as a part of the 10% matching grant for a North Carolina Department of Transportation grant for the SCAT bus.
Can you add the statement of consistency with that?
We don't have a
You
statement.
don't have to do that there?
Not with this one, not with this public
Okay.
hearing, with the next ones.
Okay, we have, is there a motion?
Make that motion.
There's a second.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Motion passes. Okay, I'd like to declare this public hearing open. Item B, consideration of zoning text amendment request and adoption of an ordinance to amend section 11.24I2 of the City of Eden zoning ordinance to remove wording which requires that automobile sales lots be paved in the business general district. Request submitted by Roger Orr, zoning case Z1707. Ms. Stoltz.
Yes, sir. To begin this case, I'd like to give you a little history lesson. Sometime in the 1990s, there were some folks who wanted to sell used cars, and used cars only, in Business Highway. Before that, there was a provision in the ordinance that said you had to be some sort of new car authorized dealer to sell cars in those zoning districts. The staff at the time, myself included, felt like that was probably punitive. As far as land use goes, used cars and new cars have the same impact. And so we tried our best to get that changed. And in order to do that, there was a requirement that anyone who had a used car lot in any business zoning district had to pave it. And it was the only way to get it through. The gentleman who initiated this particular amendment owns a piece of property that has been used as a car lot for most of my life, as I remember. It has been vacant for more than 6 months, and therefore it can't be used as a car lot anymore until it's paved. Paving parking lots in a community like ours is not always the very best plan. And in this case, it's in our water supply watershed critical area. However, we are considering this in all zoning districts that allow car lots. And both the planning board and I recommend that you all change the ordinance to delete the paving requirements.
Any questions from anyone?
Is this in all zones?
Well, it's not required in business general.
Right, okay.
Wait, let me back up. Tell you the truth. Yes, right now it's required in business general.
Okay.
And it shouldn't be.
And it shouldn't be? Okay.
Sorry.
Any other questions?
So this is applying only to business general or to all? That's what I might want to make sure I understand.
Let me make sure I answer correctly. It applies only to BG.
Only to BG. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, council members? Thank you, Ms. Stoltz.
Yes, sir.
Anyone want to speak in favor? Does anyone want to speak in opposition? If not, I declare the public hearing closed and need a motion.
Motion.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any more discussion?
Can we make sure the motion includes the consistency
Okay,
statement?
this one has a consistent statement of consistency. Statement of consistency. Can you add that to it?
You may not have it on
I'm trying to find it.
It's right afterwards,
It's right afterwards under B2.
B2.
Consideration of adopted statement of consistency regarding the amendment to section 11.24I2 of the City of Eden zoning ordinance to remove wording which requires automobile lots to be paved in the business general district.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
it. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Motion passes. Item C, I'd like to declare this public hearing open. Consideration of a zoning text amendment request and adopt an ordinance to amend Section 11.24K and Section 11.24.1 to remove automobile repair as a conditional use in the BH1 and BH2 districts to allow automobile repair as a permitted use in these districts. Request submitted by the Planning Board, zoning case Z1708. Ms. Stoltz.
Yes, sir. This particular amendment is another place where, as we prepare to make some serious changes to our land use regulations, this proposal came in, and we would like you to consider it. Right now, in Business Highway, it talks in Business Highway 1, it says minor repairs. In Business Highway 2, it says major repairs. And I'll be honest with you that this day and time, there is no way for your staff to figure out what's major and what's minor. We can recognize when somebody, because I can't find a good definition of it anywhere. We've had some properties where repairs had been done for years, they sat fallow, the same thing happened. We've had to tell them no. This does not mean that they can store a bunch of stuff outside or that they can do anything of the sort, but if it's inside of a building and they're repairing a car, it really shouldn't matter to us whether they're going to work on it a week or this morning. And that's where it comes to. I think this is an amendment that will help small business owners and provide some additional uses for some properties we have. We have had to tell a lot of people no in recent times, and we would like to see this changed. The planning board agreed.
Any questions? Okay. Thank you, Ms. Stoltz.
Yes, sir.
Anyone want to speak in favor? Does anyone want to speak in opposition? If not, I declare the public hearing closed and entertain a motion.
I make a motion, we approve the zoning text amendment to allow automobile repairs as a permitted use in BH1 and BH2, and the consideration of the resolution and the adoption of the consistency statement.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Motion passes. I'd like to declare the public hearing closed. Okay, item D. I'd like to declare this public hearing open. Consideration of zoning text amendment request and adoption of the ordinance to repeal section 1124R. Is this, was it IRO, industrial reuse and overlay district, and section 1124S? What'd you say that was, Kelly? We're just doing that first part, right?
Yes, we're not going to do the
Okay.
manufactured home.
Just the one on the industrial reuse overlay district?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, Ms. Stoltz.
Okay, tonight is a trip down memory lane. Again, in the 90s, Sara Lee Corporation wanted to do a sewing operation in what used to be Edwards Grocery Store on the boulevard. It's Jesse Meeks now owns the building. And over staff objections, the council insisted that we provide some way to allow them to do that in Business Central. The thing that came from that was an industrial reuse overlay district that would have to be applied for. We only ever received one application. That was from them. And in 6 months, it was gone. And it's been over 20 years that it's sitting there. As a part of our work in the next year, we intend to try to clean up our land use regulations as much as we can to prepare for changing our regulations from the way they are now with a whole bunch of different ordinances into a unified development ordinance and bring us into the 21st century so that developers that potentially come to Eden and our local folks are more familiar with the way the regulations are. There are a lot of things in our current ordinance that is why I'm still on the payroll, because you have to really know how to find them. And now, it should not be that way. This particular district was, I still think, 20 years later, it was a bad plan, and we'd like to see that removed.
Any questions of council? Okay, thank you, Ms. Stoltz. Anyone want to speak in favor? Does anyone want to speak in opposition? If not, I declare the public hearing closed and entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we approve the text amendment request and adoption of the ordinance to repeal Section 1124R in the Industrial Reuse Overlay District, and approve also adopting a statement of consistency regarding the same amendment.
Okay, we have a motion. There's a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. More discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Motion passes. I'd like to declare this public hearing open. Consideration of local historic landmark designation for the Eden Historical Museum located at 656 Washington Street. The request is submitted by the property owner, HBCL-1701. Ms. Stoltz.
Yes, sir. Before I start with this, I meant to remind you that earlier this year, you adopted a new district potentially in our ordinance, and we expect to get an application within the next month that allows mixed uses in a more creative and organized fashion. So it's not that some of these places we have, for example, a mill building, we've provided for them to be able to do mixed uses and some light industrial in those. So we're really not hurting anybody. But back to the case at hand. Currently, the Historic Museum is located on Washington Street, and it is in the former Roberts Cafe building. It is a building that is a part of a National Register district. It is currently used by nonprofit and for a public use. You know, the city goes in there, we're a part of it, and it's available for citizens. The request came to the Preservation Commission to have this building landmarked. Now, what that means to us is a local landmark reduces the property tax, both city and county, by 50%, but it also gives the Preservation Commission and you, the council, more control over maintenance and the preservation of the various historic elements of the structure. We are required to send this information off to the State Historic Preservation Office in Raleigh. They are not as enamored of it as we are, but we have the opportunity and the ability for you all to make those decisions on a local level. Both the Preservation Commission and your staff recommend that you approve this request.
Any questions, anyone?
What's the criteria that you look at for this designation?
We look at the age, the integrity of the building. This is one that the current owner has spent a lot of money on this year to restore it to its former glory. We look at its contribution to the community. The fact that after all these years I can say it was the Roberts Cafe building tells us that on a local level it's important. This is a good way to encourage people to invest in downtown development and other historic properties. It's a tool that's been used for a long time, and in this case I think it will benefit us more than we could ever lose from property taxes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Ellie, when you said that it gives us more control of,
Yes, sir.
of the building, is that like when it had some structural problems a year ago, that we may have more say-so in that? or-
We had plenty of say-so in that
Okay.
because it was at risk of falling. But what I'm talking about is to stop someone from taking off the historic facade
Okay.
or putting in windows that aren't in keeping with the other buildings around it. It's to help keep the district more pure than it would have been. And we don't regulate anything inside.
Yeah, okay.
It's only out.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you, Ms. Stoltz. Anyone want to speak in favor? Does anyone want to speak in opposition? And I declare the public hearing closed and entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we accept the landmark designation for Eden Historical Museum located on Washington Street.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no.
No, I said aye.
Okay. Motion passes then. Item 8, request petitions of citizens. Didn't have any, right? Item 9, unfinished business. A, consideration of a certificate of sufficiency by the city clerk and approval to hold a public hearing on the annexation petitions and property located at 889 Morgan Road and 893 Morgan Road. Ms. Stoltz.
Yes, sir. In both of these cases, again, this is an instance where we discovered that the folks' water meter was inside the city and the house was outside.
Yeah, we
Therefore,
discussed that a couple other meetings, right? Same thing.
this is the very same thing. And so we contacted them and they asked to be annexed. And so we definitely recommend that you call the public hearing.
Okay.
And the petitions are sufficient.
Is there a motion?
Make a motion that we call for the public hearing for the annexation hearing.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion, we have a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Motion passes. Item 10, new business. A, strategic plan. Ms. Stoltz. We have 3 items on here. Item A, B, and C. A, request for purchase of property and development of Pocket Park at 165, 167 North Fieldcrest Road. Ms. Stoltz.
Oh, I forgot I have visual aids this time. There were 2 buildings located at 165 and 167 Fieldcrest Road. We began an enforcement action on them, and this is what it looked like when we were dealing with that. This is how it looks now. The property owner came in and just made them a shell. Last year at budget time, I requested money to try and purchase this property. We can thank Randy Hunt for persuading the property owner to agree, if you all give us permission, and to create a public space there, similar to ones we have on Washington Street. This one would be more focused on what happens in that part of town. And we're hoping to have a mural in there and some focus on the dancing and those kinds of things that happen. We are asking you to agree to purchase the property for $9,000 and to set aside $24,000 more out of the strategic plan funding for the creation of the park. Randy and Debbie Galloway and I also plan to apply for an urban forestry grant to help with some of the costs associated with the park. That's not open until January. I think this is a very good thing for that part of the community. It's a great way to reuse it. It also will allow foot access in an easier way from the backs of those buildings and that alley. There is some parking back there, and hopefully we can keep the merchants on that side parking in the back of the buildings.
Well, it's a wonderful thing to work toward that.
Oh, I have more pictures. Thank you. This is how it looks recently. That is the design that Josh Woodall, a member of my staff, has come up with for what we will likely do inside the park. It'll be a gathering spot and a focal point for that downtown area.
Just the aesthetic improvement will be unbelievable.
It will, and the one thing we know about downtown redevelopment is the more foot traffic you have, the more the businesses are going to do well, and it's much safer. So this will be a spot for people to meet and gather eat lunch sitting outside, all those kinds of things. And we're really excited about the prospect of doing it, and I hope that you all will approve the funding.
I looked at that. It's very dangerous like it is,
Yeah.
and very eyesore.
Any other questions?
Well, the amount that we're purchasing the property for is outstanding. That's a great job.
That's a little less than the tax value of the
Right,
two
great
parcels.
job, Randy, thank you.
Kelly, there's the front facade and everything been inspected, where it's, are the bricks where it's going to be safe? Is it
Well, we're
safe?
okay with it,
Freestanding?
as you can see.
Freestanding?
The buildings in that particular downtown are not party walls necessarily in the same sense as the ones in other of our downtown districts. Yeah, that's why we think we can do it for $24,000 plus the urban forestry grant.
So the front wall has been looked at, and it's been safe?
Now, things surprise me sometimes, but so far that's what we know. And Randy has something else to add. Where are you, Randy?
It's on the front row.
Okay, there you are.
Excuse me.
At the same time we were doing this, Randy had an idea once the agenda had been done, and we decided to tack it on with your permission.
The muralist that completed the Coca-Cola mural in Stoneville has been a... Oh, yeah, thank you, Kelly. Yeah, thank you. This is one side of the building, and then we have another picture of the other side. The muralist that just recently worked on the town of Stoneville's mural did a great job. He's agreed to paint both of these murals, repaint, and buy the paint, the Sherwin-Williams product that he had used that he recommends for $1,000. So we're trying to get this in. Time is of the essence, because if we don't approve it, he's not going to be able to paint before it gets cold enough where it won't make a difference. So that's why it's so important that we were able to add this in at this time.
This building is on Fieldcrest Road in Draper.
Yes, on the,
So we'd like for you to consider all of this together, so it would be the $33,000 that we asked for, and then another $1,000, $34,000 of the $300,000 that you all appropriated.
Okay, thank you.
So the Coca-Cola murals, though, are not on the proposed
Not the
pocket
same
park.
site, no.
It's on the other old buildings.
Yes,
The
sir.
other
It's
buildings.
down the street.
Still barber
Down the
shop.
street.
Yeah, okay. That's what I'll make sure I understood that too.
Next to the convenience store.
I think
Is-
it's a great
TJ
idea.
and Bruce is
I'm
alive.
sorry.
No. I know one of the things we did talk about, Kelly, when this was being discussed was in that $24,000, is there contained a contingency in that as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
But we hope to have a mural more indicative of activities in that part of town down there. But these Coca-Cola signs being refurbished has given lots of downtowns a shot in the arm.
Okay.
I was going to tell you, I think it's a great idea considering we're working with the mega park. And when you're coming from Berry Hill Road and you come through Draper, that's a total eyesore. The first thing you see once you go around the corner. So anything that we can do to improve that look, since we're working on this mega park, it's going to really help us with that too.
Two of us obviously agree with you about that.
Any other,
Will Coca-Cola help pay for any of that?
Coca-Cola, there is a group that does go around that repaints these murals. We have contacted them. Cindy Adams has repeatedly tried to get in touch with them, and they're just so log jammed, and there are so many. But at this point, no, we've not been able to get any relief from Coca-Cola.
Randy, that $1,000 to paint both sides,
Yes, sir.
that's just the Coca-Cola, it's not the rest of the building.
Correct.
Okay.
Just the mural. Yes, sir.
That's cheap. That's cheap.
That's another day's work.
any other questions? Need a motion then?
I make a motion to purchase.
I think they're trying to want to do all these at one time. Is that
No,
not correct?
It's separate.
You want them
It's
separate?
separate because there may be some disagreement
Okay,
on
okay.
some of these individual
Okay,
things.
thank you.
I make a motion for the request for the purchase of the property and development of the pocket park. It's 165 and 167 North Fieldcrest Road, and also including the repainting of the murals on both sides of the property at 104 North Fieldcrest.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second?
We have a motion, second, more discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Item A is passes. Item B, request for the development of a dog park on the Freedom Park campus. Johnny Farmer, Director of Parks and Recreation.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council, City Manager, City Attorney, City Clerk. What I'm presenting to you tonight is a request to build a dog park down at Freedom Park. As you're aware, back in June of this past year, the City Council adopted the Parks and Recreation Comprehensive Plan, and one of the things that was included in that, right after that, or shortly before that, you also adopted the Positively Eden Strategic Plan, and both of those plans discussed things that were very important to our citizens, including parks and recreation. And one of the goals of the strategic plan is to implement some of the desires that were in the Parks and Recreation Master Plan. One of the things, as far as new facilities in the Parks and Recreation Master Plan, one of the first things that they discussed was maybe the dog park at Freedom Park, because it would be something that we could do very quickly and could show people that we are going to be investing a great amount of effort to make the citizens best it can be. Over the past several months, the city manager and I have toured several cities that have built dog parks, and we went to Burlington, we went to Greensboro, and one of the ones that we liked the best was with the city of Burlington. And what we've tried to do is design something very similar to that down at Freedom Park.
Do you want me to do it? Keep going.
Yeah, what we have right now, this right here shows you a picture of a site plan there. With this, we've done some extensive research on the development of dog parks. When you develop a dog park, one of the things that they ask that you do is that you have a minimum of an acre. This site here is a little over an acre, and what they recommend is that you have 2 areas for a dog park, one for smaller dogs and one for larger dogs. And what we've done is in between the middle of that park there, it will be a fence where you can have on the right side will be the small dogs, and on the left side will be the large dogs. What we've done, I'm going to show you some pictures of some of the stuff that we would be buying to build the park. We would have to do fencing, and fencing is the largest expense of the park. We'd have to buy benches. We'll be buying, putting in a few trees and everything, and this just gives you an idea of what the park could look like. And this is just a sample of what was in Burlington. These are the type water fountains that we would use, and the reason we would use something like that is it can be used for a person as well as a dog. You see the fountain for the dogs as well as the fountain for a person. So this keeps the dogs hydrated as well as their users when they're there. One of the things that in the research that we've done, one of the most important things when developing a dog park, and I've been involved in doing some of these in some other areas that I've worked in the past, the signage is very, very important. So we have to make sure that we have the proper signage, and one of the things that will be critical and that we'll be doing is making sure that all the dogs are registered, and they will have to be vaccinated before they're allowed to come in. So we'll be taking care of all that. And what we've done, the dog park would be directly right across from Shelter 1 down at Freedom Park. And right now, this the area is around 47,000 square feet, which is a little over an acre. And what we would have there is 2 water fountains, 2 benches, and 2 pet waste containers, and 2 trash cans in each area of the park, one for the large dogs and one for the small dogs. The cost for developing the dog park, the fencing is $14,000. The water fountain's around $6,600. The waste containers $1,672. The 4 trash cans is $2,620. The 4 benches is $2,900. The materials for the water line are $3,000, and we're going to save some money on the installation of the water line. We'll be using city personnel to install that, so that'll cut down on some of the cost on that. The signage is approximately $2,000, and then we put $2,187 in contingencies in case there was anything that might come up that we were not aware of, for a total cost of $35,000. What we have done is, I had a meeting last night to preview the plan. We didn't have a large number of people, but we had 5 people, including staff, there last night. All those folks were very, very excited about this. I've probably taken at least 10 to 15 phone calls over the past 30 days about this. They're all excited about this. And if there's anybody here tonight for the dog park, I know I talked to several people that said they may come. Not sure if they did or didn't. But one of the things that we're trying to do with our Parks and Recreation is to do inclusive stuff and give our residents an opportunity to have some facilities that we presently don't have. And I think everyone knows that there's a lot of demand for a place for people to be able to bring their pet, to be able to socialize with other pets and have a place to come. So I would ask that you approve the funding from the Positive Eden strategic plan in the amount of $35,000 for doing the dog park. We feel like that if you do approve this, we can have this up and going by the spring of 2018.
Some of the vegetation, you're going to have trees large enough to have shade.
Yes, right now there's a lot of trees down there right now on one side of the area. On the right-hand side areas you go in the gate, we'll have to put a few trees in there because the dogs are like us. They're not going to be out there in the sun either. They're going to want to be in the shade and everything too. And one of the things that we want to do is this is just the first stage of this dog park. One of the things that I want to do is once we get this done, I want to go out and get some sponsors from some of the local veterinarians and put some exercise equipment for the dogs can come in and utilize also. So this is just a very beginning to get it started, and I think it's something that will continue to grow each and every year and be something that'll benefit not only our residents but also the pets that the residents love so much. I know I have a dog, and dog's almost like my son.
You talked about having certification of vaccination and so forth. Most people don't carry that around with them in their pocket.
Well, what they would do is, if you have a dog that's out, they have to have their rabies tags on when they're out and about. They're pretty much required to have that. So that would be a method in how we would be able to control that.
Johnny, is maintenance on a park like that any different than any other thing, anything unique about the maintenance there?
There's not going to be anything unique. When the city manager and I went to Burlington, one of the things that we were looking at was the maintenance thing, and the way they did theirs is they had 2 gates at the back end of their park where their mowers could go right in and do one side of it and the other side. And the only thing that, you're going to have pet waste there, but we have pet waste at the park and at the Greenway and places now because we have the pet waste boxes at all our sites now because we have a lot of people walking their dogs, and what we have right now, we have a lot of folks that would like for their dogs to be able, instead of being on a leash, to get out and get exercise too, just like the humans do.
Yeah, I was just wondering if you had to place things, have something strategically planned so the mowers would get in and out and you could
We will, and we would have 2 large gates where the mowers would be able to get in and out of there. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Johnny, I think it's a good idea, but what kind of trash can costs $655?
Well, the trash cans that we're buying, they're made like the ones that out of the coated vinyl and everything. So it's the type cans that we put down at the Greenway and things like that. When we buy a trash can, that trash can is probably going to last 10 or 12 years, 15 years, where you can go to Lowe's and buy a $25, $35 trash can, but it's not going to last. You're going to be changing those out probably every 6 or 8, 10 months.
So this is something like Burlington had, I'm assuming.
Yeah, well, most of the places, what they do with it is a specialized thing for parks. Most of the parks put in these heavy-duty trash cans so that they're in place, they're put in the ground, and they're there built to last for a very long time.
These waste containers there, also you have the bags will be provided all throughout the park there as it is?
Yes, we do that now. We have the bags, and that would be something that would be happen every day with staff, that they would check those bags and make sure that they're kept full each and every day. Yes, sir.
I think this is a real good way to encompass more and more of our citizens and engage them in different things. I know you said you went to Burlington. I think you went somewhere else too, did you not, John?
We went to Greensboro, and there were some places, and the parks in Greensboro, they were much larger because they had a larger area than what we have. And
I saw that High Point on the news the other night. High Point's trying to get their first one going as well.
Right.
So they are things.
So I think that this is a trend that's happening all over the country now because as I said earlier, a lot of citizens, a lot of people feel like that their animals, they treat their animals just like they do children. And in other cities I worked, they had policies, things where you could take your animals to a restaurant. I'm not sure we want to do that, but I think this gives our citizens a chance to get out and enjoy their animals, and they can let them get out and walk around and run around. And I think socialization is good for the animals just like it is for us.
Well, it is a wonderful thing for our community to add that to it. It's been a long time coming, too.
And I was talking to a lady last night, and we were talking, we started talking about this I guess when Mr. Grogan was mayor, so that's been many, many years ago. So I think if this can be done, I think it'll be great for our community.
Any more questions?
John, I do have one question. You mentioned the importance of the signage, and you're going to have all the rules and regulations. Will it also spell out the liability issues with you having your own pet there if something were to happen?
Right. What we do as part of that is it states that you're responsible for any damage that your dog does, and that would be in part of when they come in and fill out the registration form, we would make sure that they sign that. Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
And the money comes out of the budget, the money for the... Correct.
Is there a motion?
Make a motion that we approve the money for the dog park at Freedom Park.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, and more discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Motion passes.
Thank y'all very much.
Thank you. Item C, request for text message marketing and WGSR advertising package. Cindy Adams, Tourism and Events Coordinator.
Good evening. I have those two things to present, and it was part of the strategic plan to engage citizens. There was a lot of discussion during the focus groups and things of ways that we could better communicate with our community that people didn't know until after something happened, or they didn't know about this group, they didn't know they could get involved. And so this goal is to share information effectively and regularly, and I think regularly is very, very important. We have to be consistent with this. These days, it's very hard to reach a community. It used to be, years ago, you could broadcast your information through the newspaper and everybody saw it. Things are very, very different. Now we have to have all different kinds of outlets and canvass the entire community through social media, through newsprint, TV, radio, community calendars, newsletters, websites. And we have to use all of those because people get it in so many different ways. The first thing I want to talk about is text message marketing. Phones have become a very important tool in the marketing world. Millennials particularly want that information right there in their hands. They want it quick and they want it effective. The effectiveness of text message marketing is due to the fact, and these statistics are astounding, that 91% of people keep the mobile phones within reach 24 hours a day. Study shows that 98% of all text messages are read, that shouldn't be say read within 3 minutes of delivery. People tend to reach for their mobile phone as soon as they hear the ringtone of an incoming message. I'm guilty of that too. I think we all are. So we're proposing this program. It's $299 to start, and it's $129 per month. We will have unlimited keywords, unlimited text that we can send. The citizen will opt into this. We won't put anybody in unless they opt in themselves. We can have multiple keywords to target our markets. For example, we can text Eden to whatever number we want. It'll give you all of Eden's news. If you just want river information, river conditions, those kind of things, you text another number. events and festivals and their own. And we can model this. These are just examples. We can model this any way that you and the staff want to do. We think texting is a cost-effective way to be able to immediately connect with the followers. And again, I said they opt in. It can be used for emergencies, for meeting notices, for events, for closings. Again, anything that we want to get out to the citizens in a hurry or we deem very important, we can use this text messaging. It goes out in a mass group. And the sky's the limit on it. We can do whatever we want. The total for this package is $1,847, and that'll cover the whole 12 months. The second thing that we'd like to do, and we found this to be very effective for us in tourism and other areas, that TV is a good way to market. We already have a great working relationship with Debbie Moore at this station. She is very loyal to us. She has served us very well. We've had quality work from her continually for many, many years. This is WGSR TV 47. These are just some stats of where they are. They're in Reidsville. 1.5 million potential viewers. They have live programming that includes talk and community interest. And we do agree with this is a lot of value for your money. The next one shows the coverage map. And again, those 1.5 million are within those. You can see that. One thing that we've heard, this is a 12-month contract. It includes many different things. And again, we can customize this as to what fits us. We've had some citizens in the past that sent some things in, and they're new citizens. Some of them have been here a while. I can't find the SCAT bus schedule. How do I find that out? The fire whistle blows on Sunday afternoon. I think it's the first Sunday at 2 o'clock. Why does that happen? They don't know about the things that we have to be proud of, such as Gildan, the number of people they employ, the Karastan rugs that are made here. So many things that instill pride in our community, and people don't know about it. These are some ways that we want to do it. We want to do a Did You Know segment. They'll run 10 of those. We'll have some infomercials where we're looking to use some drone footage and do some industry spotlights to let people know that we have. Ways to engage citizens, to let people know about the Citizens Academy, to let people know about Youth Council, to let them know how they can get involved in other citizens groups. Come to city council meetings, all that's taking place. Again, the sky's the limit of what we put out there. And another big thing is the mayor will have a once-a-month show. It can be 15 minutes up to 28 minutes. Again, the mayor can form that ever how you want to. You can have a guest, it can be a talk, it can be a panel, it can be anything you want. The total cost of this is $1,500 per month. And I know that sounds expensive. In the marketing world, it's very inexpensive. When we were going through the coal ash spill, we did a 6-week spread with Time Warner Cable. It was $20,000 for 6 weeks. You can run one ad for one day in a newspaper. It's anywhere from $500 to $800 of any substantial size. We wanted to do a 3-hour mobile radio program at one of our events. It was $1,800 for 3 hours. So collectively, $1,500 a month is $18,000 per year. Again, it sounds like a lot of money, but in the marketing world, it's very affordable and very inexpensive. We'd also like to look at CTT Productions to do all of our drone footage, our video, our high-end photography. All of these pieces will belong to us after this is done. It will be seen on this station, but it will come to us so we can put it on our social media sites, our websites. Anything that is produced becomes property of the City of Eden. And you can see in the next slide some of the things that he is proposing. He will do all of this work for us. He will come on site, go wherever we want, do the many infomercials, the sound bites, professional voiceovers, professional graphics, etc. One of the things that we're proposing is a who's who. This is a way for our citizens to get to know leaders, youth, firemen, council, police, people in our school system, all different ways. Again, sky's the limit of what we want to do with this. The last slide is kind of irrelevant now because this was collectively what we were asking for all three, but you've decided to do one at a time. So I am presenting $18,000 for WGSR, $5,000 for CTT Productions, and $1,847 for the text messaging program. Do you have any questions?
It's a great way to get information out to people. There's no
Well, I
doubt
think
about it. I know with some
consistency
of the
is
stuff
most
that
important.
To make money.
When did it start, like in January?
Whenever we wish.
Okay. But it's for a 12-month contract,
Yes. Consistently, 12 months, most every day.
3 times a day, 7 days a week, is that right?
For one thing, 10 times a day for the Did You Knows.
Okay.
I can tell you this, I've heard this nonstop on council 14 years, and there's always somebody in the community that says you don't do such a good job communicating. And I don't care if you do websites, you do Rockingham Now, you do e-news, you do whatever, it's never enough. And everything's about social media and the media now, and the way to get the word out is through something like this right here.
And I think
At least if they know you're going to be on there, just say, for example, if a mayor was on there once a month, they would know if they had the schedule, they knew they were there, they could call in, ask questions, and they could ask whatever questions. I've been on WGSR 2 or 3 times. I know the regional mayor's on there real often, but they never did ask me to come on that much. But I know when I was on there and they had questions, I think it answered a lot of questions that people had, and it's not third-hand information either.
I think I missed one very important slide in the very beginning, and I apologize for that. But I think if we couple these two things with the things we're already doing, should get back to that. The LED sign out front has been greatly received. It looks fantastic. And I want to thank Taylor Rohr. He has taken on the job of updating that for us. He does it quickly and effectively and creatively. And so I think that has been very well received. We have an Explore Eden Facebook page, an Explore Eden website, a City of Eden municipal Facebook page, as well as a municipal website, a monthly e-newsletter that goes out to well over 1,500 people now, City Hall page, an Eden Zone journal, and then the city manager's report that is reported. So I think if we add these two things, we have a pretty strong communication package, and I think we'll reach a lot of people very effectively.
I think if we were to add this, there wouldn't be anything left. That would be the best way you could communicate. The only thing left is mental telepathy, and I'm not sure we can really get to that point in doing that.
On WGSR, you have the right to terminate if you want to without penalty, right?
Yes, because we will probably pay monthly instead of yearly, of course, so yes.
At 92,000, we do that with 24,000 to the section and draper. Is that all that money coming out of St. Kitty, right?
Yes.
That's the cumulative amount.
That's
for all the
everything
things
together.
Right, like 92,000.
Yeah, we added the 1,000 for the murals, so the total would be $93,847, which will leave a balance of $206,153 of the $300,000 that was appropriated.
You know, one of the things, like the mayor said, you always hear that, you know, how do I know this? How am I supposed to find out? Where is this? You know, why didn't you tell me? And I think this is an opportunity to get that message out. Goodness, you know, everybody's attached to their cell phone. And
you have to spend money to make money.
Well, that's right.
This is the world of social media, no question about it, and the media is how you get the word out about what's going on.
And that was a consistent theme within our strategic plan, as it is. It's one of the strategy areas of engaging citizens. So I think it's a great opportunity to move forward with some of the recommendations.
Describe a little bit more about that texting part, please.
It's done through the computer. I'll have a website, and people will send out, however we choose to get the message out there, probably through our Facebook pages and different things, that people can opt in. We'll be issued a number per message that we have. They will give us their number, and then it goes into a group. And then all we do is type in what message we want. I don't know, it's Riverfest, September 15th and 16th, 2017, be there, whatever, and I hit one button, and it goes to everybody logged into that system. It's very, very easy.
$18,000 for SGR, right?
Yes, and $5,000 for the production from CTT Productions.
Now, this would be available to fire department, the police department, different departments?
Absolutely, citywide, yes. It doesn't pertain just to I'm speaking for the whole city, not just tourism tonight.
So if you break it down, really, it's about $9,000 a month.
It's not that much, not nearly that much.
You got 300,000, you got 206 left.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're talking collectively. I thought you were still talking about mine.
Any more questions? Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Need a motion?
I make a motion that we go with the strategic plan that, for the texting, the TV programming, and the CTT Productions Incorporated, for another positive move that this city will continue to make, and we, as a council, move forward to making another one. And out of this, we'll use the money that is off of, for what we studied in the past.
Have a motion, is there a second?
You've got to add the mural to that.
The mural's already in it.
Already approved that.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion, a second, any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Motion passes. Okay, item B. Oh, I'm sorry, Randy Hunt.
Yes, sir. Getting back to the top, you deserve some updates with the strategic plan and some things that we've been working on. Our initial return for proposal for our branding study was only met with one proposal. The original request was sent out to all the branding companies listed on the North Carolina Main Street website. Ms. Stoltz shared with me a planning web list that had information of other branding companies. So we reissued, resent the new companies the information for the RFP, and I've had some good feedback, and we should expect some more, and that way we'll have some to choose from. On another note, parking's always been an issue for businesses on the Bridge Street end of Washington Street. A local building owner that owns the former Belk building and the former Leaksville hardware building plans to build a microbrewery in those buildings. And his project is contingent on the extension of the Bridge Street municipal lot to extend further behind Washington Street. So we're working on that currently. 622 Washington Street continues to be researched by University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill master's candidates from the Department of City and Regional Planning. After their initial visit, I've contacted them weekly, and their work will help us create a best use for that space. Our wedding contest that's going on, over 30 organizations are participating. We kicked it off on September 29th. It will end on October 31st. Our grand prize is valued at over $7,000, and a lot of the businesses have seen increased traffic based on that. And you can just count the raffle ticket numbers to see those come in. Also, Clay Street, Duke Energy Water Resources Grant. It was applied for, that'll help us repair the Draper Landing and create a new landing on Clay Street that's currently owned by the city. The new landing would effectively double the length of a trip from the Leaksville Landing to the boat landing. It just carries that trip more upriver if we can continue to do that and pay for that with grant money. And that's what I have. Any
Thank
questions
you.
about any of that?
Doing a good job, Mr. Hunt. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Item B, request to adopt an ordinance for the demolition of a structure at 733 Taylor Street under the City of Eden Human Habitation Ordinance. Ms. Stoltz.
Let me find my pictures. This is a property that we have been dealing with for a number of years. It's been there empty. We get constant complaints from the neighbors about unsavory gatherings that happen there, and it is a problem in that neighborhood. We would ask that you approve our ability to demolish this structure in the amount of $1,790. And once this is done, at the city's expense, we will begin the action to recoup the funds in the same manner as the collection of special assessments.
It's been a long-term problem, hasn't it?
Why, yes, it has.
Is the owner here tonight, Ms. Stoltz?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Thank you very much. They live in Eden?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No other questions? Need a motion.
Make a motion that we approve the demolition of 733 Taylor Street.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion, second, any more discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Motion passes. Item C, consideration of an interlocal agreement with Rockingham County for the provision of building inspection services. Ms. Stoltz.
Earlier this year, I had occasion to need to ask for assistance from my counterpart at the county. And while we were having that discussion with Tanya Cattle, whose idea it was, and Mark Langle, the chief building inspector for the county, we began to talk about an interlocal agreement that formally establishes that we will back each other up in times of crisis, and not simple needs, somebody's out, we don't have anybody that can inspect that. Other things, if it gets to be a big deal, we can be compensated if we're spending a lot of time for them or them for us. I think it is extremely prudent in these times where more and more communities and counties have fewer and fewer staff, for us to have an established way that she and I can help each other, and our successors can, and make sure that the public's cared for. I think this is a great idea, and the county's already adopted it.
Is this a new thing? Is this something we've not had
We've never
before?
had one for building inspections.
Oh, for
We have them
building
for a lot of
yeah,
things,
yeah,
but not
okay.
not inspections.
So we've never had that before.
No, sir.
Is that a typical thing that you have in other places? Or is this
Yes.
relatively new?
No, it's fairly common. We've just never done it.
Okay. All right.
This formalizes it. We've helped each other out in the past. When the Stoneville tornadoes came, inspectors from all over the county worked up there.
Yeah.
But this makes the legal folks happy.
Yeah, we saw firsthand what happens with a tornado too, and how
Yes,
much,
sir,
how
we do.
important it is to have help throughout the county.
It is.
Yeah.
Have any other municipalities in the county taken share
I
in
am
this?
not sure.
Okay.
Well, I'm glad we were first.
Like to entertain a motion?
I make a motion that we work with the county on this Tanya Cattle, is that the way you say it, Kelly?
Cattle.
Yeah, with this inspections of city and of Rockingham County and Eden City, and where we work together. Excellent idea.
Have a motion, is there a second? Second. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Motion passes. Item D, confirm the amount of indebtedness of demolition costs to be collected in the same manner as special assessments. Ms. Stoltz, again.
Yes. We're requesting that you authorize us to pursue the costs associated with 414 Glen Street and 580 and 766 Thornton Street. These particular projects will be collected as special assessments. Special assessments in general means that it's done as a property tax action, but the lien is only on the property in question. Other actions we do, the lien can be on anything that I might own if I'm the debtor, anything that I might own except my principal residence.
Any questions? Is there a motion? Motion. We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Second. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Motion passes. Well, this is the Kelly show tonight, isn't it?
Yeah, I keep asking that we get paid by the agenda item.
Item E, adopt order of collection for nuisance abatement fees to be collected as delinquent property taxes. Ms. Stoltz.
Yes, sir. When we do nuisance abatements, that's grass and weeds and junk and all those sorts of things that come into us. The General Assembly decided in this case to allow those liens to not just be a lien on the property where it was removed, but a lien on anything that property owner might own within the city limits. It gives us a little more leeway in how we can manage, a little more to go after. We would ask, if you look at the list that's attached, you can see that we have a list that we have done this year, and we need you to authorize us to have the ability to go ahead and collect those funds.
Any questions?
Great idea.
Motion that we
Need a motion?
adopt the collection for nuisance abatement fees to be collected as a delinquent property tax.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Motion passes. Item 11, reports from staff, city manager report.
Thank you, Mayor. Each of you should have a copy of the city manager's report for the month of October. The report is on our webpage. It has also been submitted to Eden's Own Journal for next month's publication, and I have some hard copies with me tonight if anybody would like a copy. And I'd ask again that the report be entered into the minutes as if it had been read in its entirety. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Corcoran. Item 12, consent agenda. If there's no objection, I'd like to adopt a motion by unanimous consent to accept the consent agenda. If there's no objection, then the motion passes by unanimous consent. Item 13, Citizens Academy. Mr. Burnett, can you help me out front? Sure.
She said it was attached. I didn't see it.
I got it out on the paper.
I like taking the kids read at school.
This item is the 2017 Citizens Academy graduates. Jerry Hunt. Mona Lisa McCorkle. Deidre Moyer. Patrick Reamy. Michael Richardson. Is this Eris Rosario? And Sandy Williams. I just want to thank each one of you for participating and being a part of it. Appreciate everything you guys do.
I knew I saw it.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Stay up here for a minute. 2017 Citizens Academy Favorite Department Award. I need someone from the police department to come up. The 2017 Citizens Academy Favorite Instructor Award, Tommy Underwood.
God.
Living with him.
There's a lot of things in civic life where if you don't have a siren, you don't do it. Budgets and other things.
Hey, Tommy.
Appreciate you.
I'm going to have him do mine next year.
Appreciate it. Just give all of our Citizens Academy people a hand. Thank you, guys. Item 14, announcements. Mr. Burnett.
Yes. Sorry some of our audience has already left because I felt like this was kind of important. You know, I just finished reading.
Can you pull your mic a little bit closer to you?
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah.
I just finished reading this book, Celebrating 50 Years Consolidation, 1967 through 2017. First, if you haven't read this book, I recommend that you read it. You'll find it, I believe, very informative and very interesting. It can also be instructive if you let it. As I was reading this book, it made me reflect about a lot of the proceedings within it. I found this book to not only provide history, but also lessons about the present and lessons about the future. I'd like to share some of those with you tonight. Once consolidation was approved by the citizens, a 23-member governing board made up of leaders of the consolidated areas and led by Bill Armfield served from September of 1967 until the first election in May of 1968. And this board faced its challenges right from the beginning. When a lawsuit was filed to block consolidation. On April 8, 1968, North Carolina Supreme Court unanimously upheld the lower court decision holding valid the consolidation of the Tri-Cities. May 7, 1968, Jones Norman was elected the first mayor of Eden. In his acceptance speech, he talked about the characteristics of leadership that contribute to good leadership in local, state, and national government. He also said he wanted a unified Eden, not a consolidated one. Think about that. Unified versus consolidated. There is a big difference. The leadership of the city council and mayor is always important, but to me extremely so in the formation of a new city. To me, this would be like starting a corporation from scratch with 15,000 employees already there. There were many accomplishments in that first year. At the one-year anniversary, Mayor Norman talked about many of those accomplishments. To name just a few were the creation of a new zoning ordinance, upgraded street lighting, employing a city manager, combining the police departments into one location, purchasing property and a building for Central City Hall, and many more. But the comment that he made that really made me consider where we are today was, now as we recognize and celebrate Eden's first anniversary, may we all as citizens rededicate ourselves in unity and spirit to continue our efforts to make Eden the finest city in the United States. To help attain that goal, all of us need to be boosters of our city. If you want to live in the kind of city, like the kind of city that you like, why you need not slip your clothes in a grip for those of you not old enough is a suitcase, and go on a long, long hike, you'll find what you've really left behind, for there's really nothing new. You knock yourself when you knock your city. It isn't the city, it is you. This is true. We reflect the city in which we live. One of the largest challenges the city faced in the early years was the lack of infrastructure for water and sewer. There were homes in Eden at that time that had septic tanks that were overflowing. There were two separate bond issues for water and sewer improvements in the first few years, and they both were defeated. Part of the negative information that was put out about passing bond issue was supposition, part was half-truths, part was untruths. This sharing of information was done much like the information that was put out a few years earlier when consolidation was vehemently opposed. At that time, unsigned leaflets were distributed house to house with some very incorrect and negative information. They didn't have internet then. The city continued with not only these major struggles, but other problems as well. For example, City Manager Ed Welch, after completing his first year on the job, commented, "There have been some exasperating times and problems that really had me in a sweat." He knew that jealousies between the old towns of Leaksville, Spray, and Draper still existed. He would get complaints that more work was being done in one part of the area than another. At the May 1969 council meeting, Mayor Norman, being reelected, addressed the audience as follows. "It is my hope that my brief remarks will in no way ruffle anyone's feelings. There are far too many important issues before us to waste time or efforts in personal recriminations, which are in most cases 90% untrue, and always 100% unnecessary. Certainly I am not laboring under any cloudy delusions regarding the gravity of local problems facing this board, nor the urgency of teamwork on the part of this board and all of its citizens of Eden. If we take a human view of the problems that affect our city and attempt to solve them with good common sense, I feel sure we can succeed in overcoming them to the best advantage of all citizens. No man was big enough yesterday. No man is big enough today. And no man will be big enough tomorrow to have animosity and reason at the same time. Think about all those things being said 50 years ago and the struggles they had then. Struggles in 2017 and the things that are being said in 2017. But with leadership from mayors and council over the 50 years, many problems and obstacles have been solved. And Eden has progressed because of that. We still have many problems and obstacles to work through. It is our job to provide the leadership so Eden will continue to progress. Over the years, I think that as a city council, we have made progress. And as a council, we have had a good working relationship. Well, I can think of one term where there was an exception to that. I said in the beginning, this was not only about history, but also about the present and the future. Those words and quotes that I have shared with you are as appropriate today as they were 50 years ago. Maybe even more so. So what did I learn? The more things change, the more they stay the same. You may not have heard those words 50 years ago, but have you heard them recently? Have you heard similar negative situations recently? Maybe you've even seen a negative sign recently. Next, for us as leaders, as a city council, let us make sure that today we learn from the mistakes in our history, or else it is and will be true that we are destined to repeat it. Let me assure you that each council member and every person at this dais is working to make Eden the finest city in the United States. And that is a fact, regardless of the innuendos and half-truths that are being circulated by a few antagonists. So in conclusion, let me share some advice given by Teddy Roosevelt. This is especially for our councils of the future, city staff and employees of the future. And he said, "It is not the critic who counts. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by the dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who at worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory or defeat." Mayor, thank you for letting me share that.
Any other announcements of anyone? After that, I have to follow up with something too. And unfortunately, a lot of times you have to say these type things, but I'm on my last leg as mayor here. I'll be out in November. There'll be a new mayor. And unfortunately, I think I've been in this community a long time. I spent 30 years in education, and some of you out there, some of my former students are sitting there tonight. I've always tried to be a man of integrity and a man of honesty, and I've tried to do the right thing. I never have done anything illegal or not do anything with any child I've ever dealt with, and I've always felt the same way about dealing with the people in the city. With social media now, it is there to divide people. With all the good, there's a lot of bad there. And with Brad Corcoran, I've known him for a long time, Cindy Adams, Mike Doherty, Reese Pirtle, Paul Dishman, Tammy McMichael, Tommy Underwood, Johnny Farmer, and all of these council members and myself. I assure you, you'd take a beating from certain individuals that claim that you're dishonest You don't do what you're supposed to do. There's malfeasance associated with everything you do. You don't care about people. And I would hope that all of you out there do not let these people that are negative people try to divide all of us. They'll divide us by race. They'll divide us by religion. They'll divide us any way they possibly can. And unfortunately, with all the good that comes from social media, there's also a lot of bad with it too. Like I said, these people I've called out, I've known them for a long time, and some of them I actually taught in school, just like some of you that's sitting out there. And they're some of the most decent, honest, hardworking people I've ever worked with. And it was in education for 30 years and 14 on city council, and what a fine group of people it is here to work with, and I take a lot of pride in it. And I hope when you see and read and hear these things from these negative people, that's all they bring to this community is negative stuff. They never do anything positive. All they do is gripe and complain all the time. And I don't have to tell any of you, you probably already know certain people right now, that's all they live for is to gripe and complain, and they never do anything to help. So I hope you'll stand up to them and tell them how you have some decent, honest, good people that's trying to do the right thing for the city. And with that, anything else from anyone?
I'd just like to say that I attended the funeral today for Wink Hoover, who was a great statesman in our county, and he's going to be missed. He's a great man, and like I say, we will miss him.
Anyway, for all you Citizens Academy people, again, thank you for being a part of it. What a wonderful bunch of people. I hope when you came here and you'll leave, you'll have a greater appreciation of how difficult it is to run the city. I can tell you, as being a former principal in the school, you don't make everybody happy all the time, just like being mayor and being on the council. And if you don't like the way things are done, run for something. Don't sit around and gripe and complain about it, and run for it and do something about it and make yourself useful. Instead of sitting around listening to people complain all the time, do something about it. With that, if there's no objection, I would like to adopt a motion by unanimous consent to adjourn. And there's no objection, and we are adjourned. And appreciate you people coming tonight.